Hi everyone, if you're looking to explore ethical hacking or pen testing, which is widely referred to as the red team in cybersecurity, then Kali Linux is a tool you need to be familiar with. In one of my most viewed YouTube videos from 2023, I shared a guide on how to install and configure Kali Linux, which helped thousands of beginners to set up their first ethical hacking environment. But Kali Linux has evolved over the last 2 years and is more powerful than ever. So it's about time we revisit the installation process and explore some of the standout features in the latest release. One major update we'll see soon is the refreshed Kali menu, which now aligns with the MITRE framework. This makes it easier to find tools based on tactics such as privilege escalation, lateral movement, and persistence, giving you a more structured approach to offensive security. And that's not all. Kali Linux introduces enhanced wireless capabilities, new tools for Active Directory attacks, and enhanced virtualization workflows, making lab setups smoother. So let's dive into the installation process and explore the new features in Kali. To install Kali Linux, we'll navigate to the Kali website, which is kali.org. It will bring you to this home page, and then we'll choose download. And you'll be presented with a screen where you'd have to choose the type of download. You can download the installer image, you can download the virtual machine, you can download it for other types of systems, including mobile. But in our scenario, we would want to install it as a guest VM in VirtualBox. So we'll choose the virtual machines option. In here, you're presented with a number of pre-built virtual machines you can choose from. In our case, we'll be using the VirtualBox. So we'll click on download and it will start downloading. This may take a few minutes depending on your internet speed. Once it's downloaded, you'd want to locate it in the downloads folder. Once your pre-configured Kali Linux is downloaded, you'd find it in your downloads. It would most likely be a zipped or compressed file. So you'd have to right click and then you'd have to choose extract. You can just extract it in the same folder as the archived or zipped file. After you extract the zipped file, you'd see a folder like this, and it would most likely have two files in here. So the two files you'd see in here are the VirtualBox machine definition and the virtual disk image. So these are the two files we would import into our VirtualBox. So there are two ways you can import the virtual machine into VirtualBox. The first way is to click on the virtual machine definition. And once you click on it, it would automatically send you into VirtualBox. The second method is to click Add in VirtualBox and then navigate to where you find the virtual machine definition. So before you launch the virtual machine, you can check the general page to see some of the information about the virtual machine, such as the username, which is Kali, and the default password, which is Kali. You would also find information about the storage, which is the virtual disk image, which was imported from a zipped file. Currently, it shows that it's using 80 gigabytes of storage. However, it's a dynamic disk, which means that not all the 80 gigabytes are being used. But to confirm some of these configurations, you would go to Settings. Some of the things you may want to change includes the number of processors. If you observe poor performance of your system, you may want to decrease the number of processors being used. Ideally, you'd want to keep this configuration in the green zone. You can also confirm the storage. So in here, we see that under storage, it shows that it's dynamically allocated storage and the actual size is 14 gigabytes, although it can go up to 80 gigabytes. If you're not comfortable with this, you can create a new virtual disk. Finally, another thing you'd want to check is the network configuration. And for the initial setup, you'd want to enable one network adapter and ensure that it's set to NAT so that we can have internet access. Once you've confirmed these, you'd want to click on OK. So at this point, we are ready to launch Kali Linux. So you double click on the virtual machine to launch it. And you should notice a pop-up of the virtual machine. So at this point, you can double click to maximize the screen. And you should be presented with a login screen. And remember, the default username is Kali and the default password is also Kali. So let's click on the login button. So to get the screen to be larger, you'd want to resize a few times and you'd get the screen to be larger. And at this point, you can also close the pop-up pane on the right. To access the Kali menu, we'll go to the top left corner of our screen and we'll click the Kali icon. In here, we would find the tools grouped according to the MITRE framework stages. We will also find other applications like the usual applications you would expect to find on any Linux distribution. We also have the option to scroll through all applications from A to Z in Kali. But to make things easier as a beginner, you'd want to follow the stages of the MITRE framework. So you'd want to start by looking at some of the tools that you can use for reconnaissance. Tools at the reconnaissance stage are aimed at helping you gather information about your target system or network. And in here, you'd notice that reconnaissance tools are also grouped under Bluetooth, host information, network information, network DNS. You have vulnerability scanning. You see Nmap and Zenmap. You have web scanning. You have web vulnerability scanning where you see BEPSUIT, DAF test, and NICTO. So as a beginner, you'd want to go through all these phases and try to understand what each of these tools do at the various stages of the framework. In our next video, we'll look at some of the configurations you should change before you start using Kali Linux. These would include creating new user accounts, changing default passwords, and configuring Kali Linux to be able to interface with a vulnerable machine in an ethical hacking lab. Thank you for watching.